It's the Abba podcast. Let's go. And the next guest on the podcast is coming off an emphatic victory, Sam RC, the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. How are we, my brother?
I'm pretty good. Just kicking back at home, enjoying being able to eat whatever I want. So life is good at the moment.
So tell the people how it feels to have that meal or those whatever you do after, especially after a strenuous camp.
Let's just start with what it's like to not be able to eat what you want. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to all fighters and we all say the same thing. It's the hardest part about the fight game is the dieting. Like, I dropped probably about 7 kilos for this one. Look, people lose a lot more, but to lose 7 kilos, you got to start like at least 6 weeks out. So that's 6 weeks of like being disciplined and eating nothing but clean food. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's tough. It's tough.
Look, it's tough for most people, but yourself, 6 years out of the game, having to come there straight away first fight, you have to drop the 6-7, the discipline there. Talk to us about that, man, in preparation. How was that? Sam, we've just currently lost your voice. Your audio is not on. If you bit of technical difficulties here with Sam RC. I can see him.
Can you hear me?
Can you say again?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back, bro. You're back. Just we missed you there, bro. If you want to repeat that.
What happened there? So like it was a big fight. It's been a long time that I've fought, but I've been in the gym. Like, I haven't left the gym. So when I first retired, probably stepped away from boxing for 7 weeks. But other than that, I did the exact same thing. I always dieted. I don't even know if that's the word. Always ate clean, and I was always in the gym. So coming back to this, it wasn't like, oh, he's been away for 6 years. I haven't been in the ring for 6 years, but I've always been in the gym.
So talk to us with your relationship with boxing. What got you into the sport, and why have you been so disciplined, even though you weren't active?
So I got into boxing when I was about 11 and a half, 12. So what happened was, so I've never, ever thought about doing boxing ever. I floated around the gym a couple times when I was, 9 or 10. But how I got into boxing this time was I had 2 older cousins that I just hung around with, and they said, let's go to the boxing gym. And I was like, I'll just tag it along. They lasted a couple of weeks, and I don't know how I ended up training for 2 years. Then I had my first fight when I was 14. And this is the moment that I fell in love with boxing. So what happened was I was always a smaller kid, and I wanted to play footy one time. My dad was like, you're too small. And I was just this little blonde hair, blue eyes, had white skin, growing up with a bunch of curries. Do you know what I mean? So when I told my dad I want to fight, he's like, if you're no good, I don't want you doing it again. And he just sort of looked at me like, do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't take me serious. Then I had my first fight in my hometown in Orange when I was 14, and I won, and I fought good. And I remember I walked out of the ring into the stadium in the crowd, and I seen my dad, and he looked at me like he saw a ghost. He's like, I just remember that feeling of like, that's what you get for doubting me. You know what I mean? Just sort of that. And that's when I felt that I went home and I watched myself on tape that night, and I went, oh, you're actually good. And just that feeling. That's what started just the whole journey. But before then, I've never thought about boxing. I never wanted to do it. I just tagged along my cousins. But I trained for 2 years before my first fight. I don't know. I think I fell in love with training when I went back to my old neighborhood, to my old friends, and I was trying to get them to punch me in the face, and I was like, just ducking, and I just thought it was cool that they couldn't hit me. Then that was it, and then that sort of kept me in the gym. But then when I had the first fight, and that reaction that I got from my dad, then I sort of seeing myself fight, I was like, righto, now I love it. Like, that was the moment I fell in love with it, and I just kept winning. And I don't know, that was it. It just started from there, but there was no plans at all.
So you found yourself at home. So it's almost like boxing found you, and you didn't go looking for it.
That's, literally, like, that's how it seems.
And from that, you started your amateur record. How was your father with that? Like, was it very supportive in the gym? Was he that parent that always oversaw your every move? How was it? It became a team thing, or was it
He
still an individual?
he was very, very supportive. Like my career was, it gave him, it gave him, he lived for it. It gave him something to do, and sort of like when I moved to Sydney and he wasn't really a part of it anymore, that's sort of when he sort of went downhill. But when I was here living in Orange, like he's been to America with me. He was in America when I sparred Canelo Alvarez. He was there the whole time. Like he watched the whole thing. He's been to Darwin. He's been to Perth. He's been to every single one of my fights. Him and Mum would come too. So I was sort of like, it gave them something to do.
Yeah,
So I just started, just the trips away from boxing fights and stuff like that. Like, just give him something to do. It was like his life. He dedicated everything to it.
yeah. No, God bless you all, man. So you basically paved the path and bring your family along with you on the journey. And the stories I hear from your father, God bless him, is that he was always invested in both sides of it. So I've shared a story with Mohammed Zaidan, Slip, if you remember him. You guys fought twice in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
amateurs. And he
yeah,
was just
yeah.
wrapping up the old man. And God bless him, how he always took the time out to make sure that both fighters were good. And he actually gave constructive criticism after both matchups, even though he fought his son.
Yeah, and Dad, like that's the thing in the boxing. Everyone loved my dad, and he's a good person. Like he got along with everyone. Like he was a good person. It's funny that everyone does remember. They always ask about him. Always, still to this day.
Yeah, man. Look, it's humbling, bro, because boxing's a small world. And when you cross paths like that, it touches you because he doesn't have to do that. And for him to extend his arm and actually, or fought someone who's not probably feeling the best after a bout, tell him, look, mate, it's all right.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I felt you done 1, 2, 3 right. Speaks a lot about him and, yourself because you're a product of your
Well,
father.
still to this day, every time I see Mundine, he's like, we knows he's passed away now, but before you knew, he's like, where's your old man? Like he loved my dad, you know what I mean? And Dad thought they had this thing every time I'd go and spar Mundine. Like they'd always, have chats and stuff like that. And it was funny too when I was over in the States sparring Canelo, they kept calling my dad Lionel Rose. they go like you look like Lionel Rose. So he thought that was cool too. Like, but yeah, everywhere we went, people loved him. It was funny.
Yeah, no, so that helps your transition in the sport, especially when you have a supportive base. So
Yeah.
then it needs more than that. So what are the struggles a young Sam RC had to face and overcome to continuously put it in? Because training and fighting and cutting weight in competition, it isn't easy. And a lot of people break off before they get to the level that you've got to.
Yeah, sort of. As a kid, I was getting in trouble. That was probably one. I was always playing up, always on silly things. Then I sort of got a little bit older, then sort of got into the partying and stuff like that. Had the wrong sort of crowd around. That was always sort of an issue. But sort of now, sort of as I've stepped away, I've sort of learnt a lot about myself too. Like I've learned, I reckon that how I stepped away. See, I didn't step away because of a loss, or I was undefeated when I stepped away. It was just after a fight got cancelled. But I've learned a lot since I've been away, and I've grown as a person. I've become smarter and I've become wiser. But yeah, as I was younger, there'd probably be, like, when you're winning fights and stuff like that, you got everyone want to be your friend. You got all this, the partying, and do you know what I mean? That's sort of, that was probably one of the struggles growing up.
Yeah, look, 100%. And a lot of people share that same struggle. And that's why this platform is here. And a lot of the guests have shared stories to inspire the youngsters watching, or just the people watching that, there are struggles, there are adversities in life. You can overcome them. And these are the things that we all have to do and deal with. And it's okay to mention them and talk about them because we're all human, and we all have our struggles.
Yeah, you got to be honest about your struggles and stuff like that. That's what I am. I mean, I am thankful about what happened these last few years because when all the smoke was cleared, it was just me against my struggles, and I'd hit like rock bottom I hit rock bottom, and I really had to come to terms with a lot of things. And there's some of the things, I've had, obviously had my own sort of mental state around boxing as well. Like I was always really like, well, I'm a perfectionist, and I think most people that are at sort of a high level in there, you got to be, you know what I mean? But I was probably a bit too hard on myself too. So that's sort of some of the things that sort of I had struggles with as well. But, again, I'm older or wiser, I'm smarter who I keep in my circle. My circle's a lot smaller these days. And I'm just enjoying boxing at the moment. I think that's the big secret for me. Just have fun with it, not put too much pressure on myself. Just enjoy it this time around. And, Wednesday night, it's all obviously something's working because I had a good win. So that's sort of what's got me to this point where I'm at right now. Just had to keep my circle small and just enjoy it.
And 100%, and enjoy you did, because 6 years out, you're coming up against one of the most experienced fighters you fought in the pros. He had a big record of 35 wins, four losses prior to the fifth that you gave him. You did it in devastating fashion. Inside a minute and a half in the first round. Whoever knows boxing knows that's not easy, especially the guy hadn't been finished before. And, mate, you look like you hadn't skipped a beat in the Newcastle Entertainment Centre. Question you, do you believe in ring rust, and how did you overcome it, and what happened? Did it all come together?
See, what we first got the offer, my coach called me up, and I was like, have you studied this bloke? Like, you sure? Like, this bloke's good, I said to my coach. And he's like, no, we're supposed. Like, he believed in me from day dot. And I was like, I sort of explained to him, like, if I have a bad night, or if I'm not on my game, he goes, that's the thing. He goes, all I'm hearing is head noise. You will be. You know what I mean? He just, that sort of belief he had in me. And I went, righto, let's do it. And I had everyone I spoke to. Like, I thought it would be, I didn't think I'd put him away that early. I knew I'd hurt him because I've been hurting, like, my power in sparring and in the gym. Like, I don't know what's happened these last few months, but I've just been hit really hard. Like, I thought I'd either break a rib or crack something. Like, I knew I'd hurt him, but I didn't think I'd put him out. And it was funny because we, at the weigh-in and stuff like that, because my coach was full confident in me. He's like, we're going to stop him. We're going to knock him out. He was telling Ben Damon, the ring announcer. He was telling Matty Rose, the promoter. And they were sort of like, he's never been stopped before. They were sort of just looking at us like, and at that time I sort of looked at my coach like I knew I'd hurt him, but I'm like, oh, all right, okay, we'll see. But the first few honestly, the first few seconds of being in there with him, I just knew, like, I wasn't fazed by anything he was doing, like, not his power. I could just read, I could just see everything. So after the first few seconds, and probably after I landed that first left rip to the body, I'm like, I just knew I could stop him.
It's crazy, man, because then you go after him, and you put a couple, he felt your power, and then he came up, and you just made sure that you put him to bed.
Yeah, I took one look at my coach, and he was looking dead straight at me, and he's like, pretty much said, he goes, jump on him, and I just knew I had to do it. You know what I mean? Like, and I haven't jumped on anyone like that, like, in a long time, but just, I think being back home at Orange, the gym is literally 40 seconds down the road. So it's not like when you're in Sydney, you have to drive. I used to have to drive an hour, 45 minutes. You can put more into the gym because you don't have to travel as much. So this prep, I really honed in on my cardio. I've really worked hard. So I knew when I had to finish him, I knew I could do it. I knew if I didn't put him away then, I had the fitness to finish the rest of the fight. Like, that confidence in my training and my fitness helped me put him away. Because if I doubted my fitness a little bit, I would have been a bit, I don't want to jump on him right now because what if I don't finish him? Then I'll be too tired for the rest of the fight.
And that's so important. As a fighter, talk to us about that mental barrier that you got to push through, because it's a game of inches, right? And if you overexert yourself, you're potentially putting the rest of the fight in, jeopardy. And you knowing that in your hometown and your coaches and the camp that you had gave you that oomph, that belief that you could actually put this fella away. Even if he withstands it, it's going to be a hell of a night for him.
Yeah, see, I've had fights before when I've hurt people, when I haven't jumped. Sorry, someone's just trying to call me. Hold up.
Yeah, so we've got a bit of technical difficulty. Oh, he's
Yeah,
back. We're back with Sam, yeah.
Yeah, someone just tried to call me, sorry.
No,
I'll just put it on. Oh, he's trying to call again.
I think we can put it on. No, you can't put it on flight mode, eh?
Yeah, just try to call it again. So I'll just put it on do not disturb, so I shouldn't go through.
Oh, legend.
Yeah, so I've had fights before where I've hurt people, but I didn't jump on them because I'm like, I've still got 6 rounds to go or whatever. You know what I mean? But this fight, like, I just really, it's all about fitness. This fight, I pushed myself. I didn't leave it up to my trainer to push me. I do my training with my coach, but when it was just me and I did my own sessions, or even after training, I'd push myself. I'll put myself in that state where, in a scenario when I'm in the fight, when I'm feeling gassed, I want to feel that in the gym, and I need to push through that.
So it seems like from all everything you've said, right, you've taken the layoff. You never really were out of touch with boxing, but it seems like everything in your life was, coming together, which gave and afforded you the chance to put that performance on. So what do you put all this going right in your life at the moment? What experience have you gained for you to learn or to give to other people?
It's like, it's a saying. There's a saying that I like: the harder you fall, the higher you bounce. So no matter what happens, you have to learn from your mistakes. But see, I knew like a very long time ago that what I was doing in boxing, I've been saying it for years. I've been telling everyone, like, I wasn't at my best. And I've been searching and trying to find that, and I couldn't find it. Then all this stuff went down. Like, the fights got cancelled. I walked away from boxing. The old man got cancer. Then he passed away 9 months later. Then 2 other fights got cancelled. And I don't know, sometimes you just have to hit rock bottom and you have to step away and you have to learn about yourself. You have to lose. I think you just got to hit rock bottom and you just have to learn about yourself, learn and grow. So I think that was probably like, because I learned that these last few years, it's been good for me, even though, I've lost dad and stuff like that, but I've come out stronger. And it could just be age as well. Like, I'm 30 now, I'm more smarter, wiser.
Yeah, no, look, it's 100%. And to keep what you're saying, right, even when you look at it religiously and in the context of the greater scheme of things, once you hit down in life, you're in the perfect position to prostrate and pray. And what more powerful than supplication and prayer does one have in those testing times? And as a Muslim, I once asked the grandson of the Holy Prophet, what's the distance between the heavens and the earth? He said, a cry of an oppressed person in dua, which is prayer. So like you've said, you've actually felt that, tasted that, and you've used it to come back. And this is your second coming. You're now giving back and showing people, look, this is what's happened. 1, 2, 3. However, I can overcome these. And if I can, you can, and join me on this journey, because we're only getting started.
Yeah, look, I come from like a place where people hit rock bottom, they turn to alcohol and drugs and stuff like that. Like, I've seen that and I knew that's not the way to go. And I've just sort of I've always been determined. So when stuff like that happens to me, I just do what I have. I just do what I have to do.
Yeah.
Like, I just have to find a way around it. But at times, like, I can't explain these last few years, like, the mental breakdowns I've had. Like, I've made at least 57 unofficial comebacks, but I pulled the pin on every single one of them, and I hated boxing. I was at the point I've had many times I was like, you know what? You're not all there in the head. You need like,
Yeah.
like I'd have in my head so bad, like, yeah, I'm boxing. I've told a few people by now. Then when it come crunch time to lock it in, I'm like, nah, I hate this shit. Like, I hate it. I'm not doing it. But in my mind at that time, I really wanted to do it. Like, I really was so excited. I've been daydreaming about it all day, every day. I'd be crying. Like, I'd cry. But this is another thing people don't know. I used to cry at least 2-3 times a week for like 3 years, just because I missed it so much. But then I'd go to lock it in and I'd go to do something about it. And I'd feel with nothing but hate and disgust. I'm like, boxer, like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But the confusion from that, like, it was tough. I don't know, because it had me rattled for years.
Look, 100%,
And like,
man.
it had me rattled for years. Like, I could be from like loving it, wanting to do it, to fully disgusted, despised by it, and hated it.
Yeah,
just like that.
Bro, it's crazy because it's not a sport you can play with, and those emotions are emotions that, you know, not the layman won't understand that.
Nah, they don't. And like, I'm lucky that like I'm close with my mum, and I've got a couple of friends that I'm close with too. And I'm just lucky that they were patient with me, because I used to talk to them every day about it, and I used to be so embarrassed. Like, I'll be saying, "Yeah, I want to do it, I love it, da da da," and they'd say, "Yeah, right, sweet." They believe in me. Then I'd have to ring them the next day and be like, I'm not doing it, and I'm like, these people must think I'm like not the full quid, eh? Like, it was embarrassing. You could be telling. I'm telling you, it was a night. Honestly, the last year it's been a nightmare.
See, but that's the importance of having that tight circle of people that you trust and you can talk to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of athletes and men in general, when it comes to mental health, we're neglected in a way because nobody asks how we're feeling or what's going on. And we're the hardest people to open up to. But we don't really open up. More often than not, we think it's a bit weak to talk. And unfortunately, you know, anyone watching, and we've all gone through similar stories, right? And we thought we had to fight the story within and something's wrong with us. However, once you talk to that person, whether your mum, your family member, or someone where you can confide to, it's almost like a weight is lifted off your shoulders, and you can hear an unbiased outsider who might actually have to give you a tap on the back and say, "Listen, mate, I've went through it. You're doing really well. You're actually really talented. Look, let's worry about something and build towards it."
Yeah, look, the stigma around talking for men, it's definitely strong, you know. And I was just, when I was younger, yeah, I always kept a lot of things in. But the older that I got, and I wouldn't be able to get to where I am now if I wasn't honest. Like, where I'm at right now, I'm open about everything. Like, I talk about, no matter how bad, ugly, or stupid it may seem. But the good part about it is when someone else goes, "Oh yeah, that happens to me," or "I'm the same," they feel that relief that you get. Like, oh, I'm not the only one. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not messed. You know what I mean? It's not just me. That right there. Then you start having those conversations with people. That's what it's about right there. Because I've got a couple of mates like that. You know what I mean? And we just talk shit for hours on end, and it got me through a lot of shit. But it wasn't like that either. Like, it's taken years. But I wouldn't have got to where I am now unless I was honest to myself and I was just open. I'd just rather get it out there so I didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah,
man.
It's not in here anymore. I've just put it out there. Fuck it, I've got it off my chest.
100%. My theory to that is, and especially because I've had to overcome it, and everyone in my circle faces the same problem. If you need any plumbing work, you go to a plumber. You need to learn a box. You go to a boxing coach, a boxing trainer, someone who's been there, done that, is in the industry, is in the game, right? Well, likewise with something like this, you know, I open up to someone who might tell me this person helped them, who might be a sports psychologist, might be a counselor, might be someone at your school, might be someone in the hospital, you know, and you can find with these people and it's constructive and they put you on a path where you're bettering yourself. And once you better yourself, you can actualize your potential, and asking for that help doesn't make you weak. If anything, it makes you stronger because,
Nah.
bro, from school, I wanted to start a podcast. And, bro, it took me forever to open one up because all the naysayers, who's going to watch you? Who's going to come on? And they'll laugh. And I thought they're mucking around with me. Like inside, bro, confidence-wise, it kills you, because that one person doesn't put that belief and tell you can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the fear of failure is definitely a real thing.
100%.
For sure.
100%. But I'd rather live knowing that I gave it a crack and I failed than never knowing if I could actually have reached the heights that I dreamt of or I always wanted. Bro, like, I'll give you an example. John Jones came to Australia, right? And I trained a bit of MMA. Not too special, though. So long story short, I wanted to meet this guy, rub shoulders with him. Bro, the line was forever in circular key. I walked up to his secchi. I go, look, move, mate. I'm with John Jones' team. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, look, if shit hits the roof, who's going to protect John, you or me? Well, this guy bought my story. I got into his circle, you know what I mean? Taking photos, rubbing shoulders with John. But I've always had that nick where I've wanted to, network with people and rub shoulders with people that, are doing good.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that interest and that curiosity, that's what starts most things, that curiosity and interest. If you got that burning desire inside of you, just run with it.
100%. But I was that pesty kid that would buy a $5 ticket if we could get into the stadium, and I was trying to sneak into box seats the whole time.
Yeah, right.
So I've always had that curiosity. I travel economy. I sneak into the first class or business class lounge room. Bro, I can't afford that, even if I dreamed of that. And I was lucky to have the economy ticket, let alone sneak into these places. But, you fake it till you make it.
Yeah, that's it. I think if you just got that burning desire, you'll find a way no matter what anyway, but it'll never be perfect. It'll never be perfect. It'll be more heartbreak than anything. But if you want something bad enough, you will make it happen somehow.
100%. But what's that saying? It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how much you get back up.
Yeah, I've heard that. What's that off? Is that a moo? I've heard it. Oh yeah, I've definitely heard it.
I couldn't tell you who quote. I can't quote the bloke. Yeah. But how true is it in boxing, right? How many tough guys are on the street and walk as if, they're big shit, and they can't last more than a week or two in the gym because their ego's going to get killed because it's not easy.
Yeah, a thing that I see common in most fighters is, people think that fighters are tough, and no, fighters are weak. That's why they do it. Do you know what I mean? Like the blokes you see that like the cocky and when them blokes come into the gym and they get punched in the face, they're the first to go to water. You know what I mean? The ones that are in there to better themselves, to face their demons, face their fears. That's the burning desire that pushes you through levels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%.
They're the ones push through the hard times. They're the ones that are the most hungry, determined, and disciplined. They've got this burning desire inside of them, and that's what makes them want to push through these barriers.
100%, man. I'll never forget, like before, let's say jiu-jitsu practice, there used to always be a group of guys or girls, or whoever's competing in the training or participating. You used to sit and the coach used to come and have a yarn with them and talk to us pre and post the session, how we go. I was always the type when I walked in, I was a shy bloke. I sat towards the corner and they didn't have much confidence and I wasn't really mixing it with all the people. And time after time, at the start, he was a bit like, who's this weirdo? When you see someone train or when you see someone spar, their true colours show. Whether they give someone something or they're just a dick of a training partner, you kind of know. So he started to sense where it wasn't really me. He started having a chat with me, bringing me into the group, And honestly, he's also Rob Whittaker's head coach, Alex Prates. But just the belief that he put, and he broke that barrier and got me to talk and got me to, mix it with the people in the session. And then from there, the progression slowly but surely, I started to open up with many more people and it became easier to have convos and stuff, and it comes down to people giving you that time, that belief, and the real people are always there. The fake people on the street, they're dismissive. They can't do nothing in their life.
Yeah. And look at you now, you got your own podcast, so.
Yeah, man, very thankful, bro, and so lucky. Like, honestly, the amount of guests and people like yourself that have come on And sometimes I got to pinch myself because it's a real honor and a privilege to talk to people who have mixed it and done what they've done.
Yeah, for sure. Now that's the thing, you know what I mean? You struggle with that, as I do too, you know? And I reckon as a lot of people do. And but it's you don't cop it. You find a way. You just got to find your way around shit.
100%,
And it's
man.
possible. You've went from A to B. I've been through my shit too. And it can happen. Honestly, it can happen.
100%. Hard work, you know, a lot of setbacks. You got to know there's going to be no's and some disappointments.
Yeah.
But it's worth it at the end, you know. Just never give up on yourself because that's all you got, that belief, man, that belief, perseverance. And
Yeah.
no money can give you that. Now, talk to us more than boxing because you've done a lot of youth work. You know, you're in the community, you're there to inspire your people. I feel that's one of the most inspiring things because, yes, you're a product of what you're doing and what you're preaching because you're showing them, look, this is how I've done it. Come on the journey with me.
Yeah, see, so when I walked away from boxing in 2016, all I wanted to do was dig holes and drink beer every afternoon. So I started ringing around. I'm like, who's got work for me? I'm ringing all my mates and stuff. And one of my mates said, hey, he goes, bro, my missus is looking for people at her work. Had the conversation. They said, all you do, take kids, drop them to school, da-da-da-da. Like, yeah, I could do that. And I was in there a few weeks later. I didn't know nothing about youth work or whatever. I ended up doing it for 4.5 years. Like it's been, I wouldn't even call it a job. Like it's tough. There's always conflict and argument and stuff like that. But it's mad. Like it's fun. You know what I mean? Like I did it for 4.5 years. That took me to Sydney a couple of years ago. I got the transfer to Sydney. You know, like, and it's funny because I just sort of fell into that, but it was my cup of tea because growing up, my parents were we took people to our house, you know. We've always had cousins and that live with us that parents could look after them, or if you didn't want to go to rehab, you come to my house. If you got out of jail, you need an address, you come to my house, you know what I mean? We did all that anyway. My first boxing coach he was a youth worker for the Orange City Council, and he wrote programs for troubled youth and stuff like that. And when I was a kid, I was sort of in the gym, but doing all the programs and stuff too. So it was sort of funny how I just sort of fell into the youth work too when my parents been doing it. My coach was a youth worker. I was one of the kids doing all the programs and that when I was, you know what I mean? Then I'm sort of, I don't know, it's cool. Like it's cool. I wouldn't even call it a job. So, you know, come back to Orange this time around. I'm still doing it. I'll actually start on Tuesday, but this time I'll have like a manager type role instead of just working in the house. I'll be running the house. So I think I'm told there's 2 kids in the house. So yeah, I'll be the house manager. I have a few staff underneath me. It's sort of the same sort of thing, but you do a bit more office stuff and you sort of have a few staff under you and you do more of the rostering and stuff like that. So yeah, look, I don't really see myself doing. Look, I'd love to try other things, but I feel, this is sort of like my bread and butter because I've grown up around it, you know?
Yeah, no, crazy, bro. It's crazy how life always makes sense after. Like everything's easy in 2020. You know, sometimes you don't understand why. Then maybe a couple of months after, you're like, okay, well, that's why. Seems like you're always destined to do that, and it found you, like how boxing also found you.
Yeah. See, when I retired, I had the biggest freak out at home. It was the weirdest thing ever. Because I truly believed. Because before that, I was sort of getting sick of boxing, and I just went because I've done it my whole entire life. I only went to year 10. I'm not like I didn't listen to school. I used to sleep every single class. You know, I did not listen. I don't even know how I passed year 10 at all. So then when boxing was sort of looking up in the air, I was like, I've got nothing. No one's going to employ me. I've got nothing. And when I retired boxing, I had this full-blown like meltdown. Like I freaked out. Like I thought I was going to end up in. I wasn't even on I wasn't even drugs or whatever. I was like, I'm going to end up in rehab. I'm going to lose all self-control. I'm going to be on the streets. I truly believed it because I thought without boxing I had nothing. Then I had a mate come around and sort of telling him what's happened, sort of spoke about it. Then that was the year when I ended up finding youth work. Do you know what I mean? I just sort of got in. Do you know what I mean? But I think sort of like life experiences and stuff like that got my foot in the door with it. And like to go from where I was before, like I truly believe that I didn't listen in school, wasn't real educated, you know, I didn't really have anything else. But then I got the opportunity of youth work. I've got all the experience there. I found work that I love doing, you know what I mean? Like I found something outside of boxing that I can fall back onto.
100%. And how
it's just crazy that I could go from like thinking I had nothing at all, then I just fell into that too.
100%. But how crazy is it that boxing elevates that as well? Gives you that platform where you can reach more, help more, and your portfolio is like something. No one can have the portfolio you've had because you've got the miles on the run. You've got it all there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, the boxing does definitely help with youth work. You know, the kids always think it's cool and stuff like that. So that definitely always does help. So, but yeah, I just think sort of the experiences as well. Sort of growing up where I grew up in Orange and stuff like that. It's all coming together. You know, it's all come together nicely, which I'm thankful for. But it hasn't been easy.
100%, bro. Look, what is easy in life, man? How tough is a fight camp? You know, and how much worth it was it after? Like everyone sees just the aftermath, but you were there lonely for 8 weeks, putting in the miles. You and your team, which is a few guys, you know what I mean? And you did it, and you've done it continuously throughout your life thus far.
Oh, it's been tough. Like not only the dieting too, like you get a lot of head noise and stuff too, like the anxieties around fight camps and in general. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, she definitely ain't easy. That's for sure.
100%, bro. Look, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. You know what I mean? And ensuring that your circle is tight and close, and you know you keep it small, keep it real, because it's very hard to keep it real when you have a lot of yes people that want to jump on board now because you're doing well, you know. And reflecting, being thankful, and making sure that you're working on yourself. Because I'm a firm believer that, you know, and because I'm a Muslim, God never tests you more than what you can handle, right? So if you are getting tested, no matter what the test is, well, then you're capable. Now, whether you choose to accept that or reject that is totally up to the free will of the person, you know. And, you know, diamonds, they're not made easy, you know, it needs all that pressure. And
I've heard that one too.
You know, diamonds make champs, and you know you're doing well, bro. The circles, you're killing it. You know, mate, you stole the show. You stole the show on Wednesday, mate. In a round, you took no damage. Six years out. Wow.
Yeah.
You know, you need a round of applause for that.
Yeah, look, my coach kept saying that too, and he'd been saying it for weeks, and I'm like, come on. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, it's huge. I can't believe, like, people have been telling me that. Like, everyone's been sort of saying that to me, and it hasn't really, like, registered, you know? And I think sort of like I seen an article on news.com was sort of, the headline was like, Tim Tszyu was the main attraction, but RC stole the early limelight. And that's when I was sort of like, sort of started registering a bit more, you know? But it's crazy. Like I don't know, it just feels sort of normal to me. And that's sort of the mind state that I wanted going into that fight, you know? I was just being me. Wasn't trying too hard. I was just going out there to enjoy myself, have fun, not put too much pressure on myself, just go with the flow. And it's obviously paid off. But I think that's sort of why like now with everything, like I sort of get what's happened, but it feels normal. It just feels normal right now. I think just sort of that's been my mind state going in to the fight. And I think that's just why I feel so normal now. Just feels natural. But it is crazy to think, like that I went from, especially like how much I hated boxing to actually doing it. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. It's confusing. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
bro.
weird.
I'm telling you, I feel everything you're saying, bro, because I was always good at public speaking. From year 5 to year 6, the teacher pushed me into it.
Yeah.
Then I got into debating when I was at school. I'm probably the only guy in history of debating that's been suspended by the adjudicator. Bro, I was watching the footy show because we used to debate on
Yeah,
Friday.
right.
Bro, listen
Yeah.
to this. I was watching the footy show. There was a segment, What's Doing Vossi or something like that. And every time Voss will throw the palm card, into the crowd or something. So I was watching it Thursday. The debate was Friday. I go, what's cracker? So I'm doing the debate. I feel like I was a freak, and I was rolling off the tip of my tongue, and I start throwing it, not at anyone behind me. This lady goes after and like, you're bullying and you're condescending. I'm like, bro, what do you mean? I watched the footy show. I got suspended for 2 weeks. Come on, man. Let me talk. But I have a love-hate relationship with it. And even the early episodes in the podcast where the nerves are killing me. I want to do it. I want to get back on stage because I stopped after school for a while. And
Yeah.
I just couldn't break that barrier. For some reason, the nerves were killing me in a sense where I just don't want to do it. I don't want it in front of me. I don't want to get up on stage, and I don't want the people watching me. But then everyone like, you're good at it. I'm like, but I don't want it. So everything you're saying is relatable, but just in a different walk of life.
Yeah. Nah, see, a lot of I think being back with my old coach too, because he knows me. He obviously started my career, and everything was going good. He just couldn't take me to the next step because he had family. Boxing was in the way of his family life and stuff like that. So that's why I left. But being back to the training that I'm used to, and have my old coach with me as well, that's helped me a lot, mentally in the ring as well. And with like my nerves and the confidence getting back, it wasn't so much. There were a bit of nerves for me to get back into the ring because I wasn't performing as well as I knew I could. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't performing as well as I could. There was a lot of the politic stuff as well, but there was that as well. So when I sort of moved back to Orange and I started back with the old coach and things are sort of working good, and he was sort of speaking a lot of things. We're agreeing on a lot of things around technique and style, and that's sort of something that sort of helped me too.
Nah, 100%, bro. So it feels like everything clicked, and it's
Yeah.
onwards and upwards from here because you caught out a lot of people afterwards. You stole the show. That you have to give yourself credit for. And then you put it on the mic, put them all on notice. What's going on there?
Yeah, see, that was something that I was thinking about for a few weeks before, because what's happened was, so back when I was boxing, like I was number 1 in the country and stuff like that, But I was on box rec and stuff like that, and as I've sort of stepped away, and I've been telling people for years, I was showed 60%. Like the other night was probably, I've got more to give than that. But before I was only showing 60% and I was number 1. Then now that I stepped away and retired, I just got sick of this is what annoyed me the most. You just be having conversation. You're like, oh, yeah, no, I just sort of stepped away from boxing. People are like, oh, they think, oh, did you lose? Or then they start comparing you to this person, that person. And then, look, I knew that I could beat these people, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, could you beat? Then you tell them, yeah, I could. Then they don't. They're just looking at you like, so there's a lot of build-up. It's like, I know I can do this, but I can't get there and do it because I'm not in the right. So sort of in this lead up, I was like, I can beat this bloke, I can beat this bloke, I can beat this bloke. I used to be number one. I want my spot back. But I didn't think I was actually going to say it. Like, I was planning to, but I'm like, nah, you know what? You can't call out Stevie's, but he's fighting the main event. I told myself I wasn't going to do it. I'm not going to call a bloke out on the night of his fight. I told myself I wasn't going to do it. But then, I don't know, it's just sort of, I think the way the lady sort of asked the question, because I sort of said, well, I'll line them up, Maddie, and she goes, oh, it seems like you have a few names. Give us a name, give us a name. And she sort of put it on me, and I'm like, fuck, I've got a few names then. And I just went, fuck it. I was just in the moment, you know what I mean? That's just how I felt in the moment. But like, I had been thinking about it, doing it for a few. I just actually didn't think I'd actually do it. But to be honest, they are the names that if I'm going to get back to where I used to be, and if I'm going to go internationally and win a world title, I have to beat these guys. There's no use beating around the bush about it. Line them up. I have to beat them. Let's get the job done. Do you know what I mean? Stevie Sparks, obviously. See, I don't even think he's light welter. See, I thought he was my weight division because he fought Jack Brubaker in welter.
Yes.
But I think actually a light welter.
Correct.
So he moved 2 divisions to fight Timmy. But I know he can get to welter. So if he can, and he's a bigger bloke. So if he goes to welter, he'd be the number one bloke to beat in my division for sure. For sure. Yeah. Underneath him would be Andrew Hunt. Then there'd be Brubaker, then the big Barnes. So sort of exactly what I said is who I think in that order would be my stepping stone. Do you know what I mean? So like I'd been thinking of these things for a few weeks, and I just thought, fuck it. I want these blokes. Let's get it done.
Hey, let's go. Let's get them there, man. Line them up. So when
mate, line them up, mate.
That's it, man. Put them in a line. We take them out one by one. What's the process though? When are we back? Are we back in the gym? When are we looking to get back in there? You know, you got a lot going on now. So what's the plan going forward?
So I trained yesterday. Just had a bit of fun in the gym, but officially I'll be back in the boxing gym tomorrow. My coach has already been talking to everyone. So September 8th is the next show. Something about Melbourne, but I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. But we're trying to go Andrew Hunt. I think that was a name they're going to try and make happen. So I don't think Kyron Dryden. I actually don't even think he's in the gym at the moment.
Yeah, I think he's only got fan only. I think he's doing fans only these days, man. I don't know if he's boxing.
Yeah, look, that's what I heard. I didn't want to say it.
I leave it to me. Right. I'll say it.
Yeah. Brubaker, he's fighting. I think he's fighting. Was his first fight? Look, he's active, so he'd be the next in line. Brubaker or Andrew Hunt.
Yeah, Brubaker doesn't have anyone. He's got no one scheduled up against him at the moment. Andrew Hunt, he's got no one as well scheduled. Hunt is number one at the moment. So I
said, look, whoever, Brubaker or Andrew, that's who I'd sort of like to fight next.
Yeah, so from the looks of it, they're both available at the moment.
Yeah. So we've spoken to a few people, and so there's their names they're going to try and having the conversations now. So I don't know what's been said or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not too sure what the camps are saying, but they're 2 names that we put out there. So I guess once we hear back about something, my coach will let me know. But yeah, I'll be back in the gym on Monday. I'll obviously train every day, but I'm not going to just go back to enjoy it. I'm going to start eating better tomorrow. See, luckily haven't even put on too much weight, which is good. But all this eating, yeah, look, it's been good for the first few days, but it's sort of, I need to knuckle down a bit now. So no drama about going back to the gym tomorrow. I'm actually looking forward to it. It gives me, I need that. It's a funny thing. I don't know. You can probably relate. You constantly complain about discipline, but without it, you feel like shit. Like I need So this camp, I was like, I can't wait to see food and just relax. Da, 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 da. But now that I'm here, so at the same time, so I can't wait to get back in my routine. I can't wait to get back in my routine. So I'm actually looking forward to getting back into the gym now and sort of tidying up my diet a bit.
I 100% feel you, man. That struggle's real, and I think it's with everyone, man. Talk to us about post-fight. What was your first dish you went for? What were you most looking forward to?
Burger and chips and chocolate. I
Can't
love
go wrong.
chocolate.
Can't go wrong with those, eh?
Honestly, it's burger and chips and chocolate. Anything ice cream with a bit of crunch. If I could pick, it'd be something like a salted caramel ice cream thing with crushed up Kit Kat or something like that, like a Cold Rock style ice cream with something crunchy. I'm actually gonna get that tonight. I'm actually gonna get it tonight now.
Look, man, I've pushed you the wrong way, man.
Yeah.
You got to be cautious of your crowd. You know, you let me in, and I was a bad influence, bro. I got you to take that now.
Look, I'll put in the work. You know, I lost a heap of weight. My weight's not too bad at the moment. I'm just gonna have a little blowout tonight and get back on the train tomorrow.
100%, man. So talk to us about boxing. Now, boxing's given you a lot. You know, you've rubbed shoulders with people like Mundine, Canelo Alvarez, traveling overseas. You know, what influence and who is the greatest, you know, athlete you've competed with, and what have you learned from rubbing shoulders with such personalities?
The number one thing that I learnt was when I was sparring Canelo Alvarez. So the first spar, I just tried to stay on the back foot a bit and dance around and move. But what happened was the more I'd move, he'd move forward and gain momentum, and he'd end up sort of chasing me around a bit. But then I decided I'd just stay in front of his face, not move, and show him like I wasn't scared. Then I had him going on the back foot. So, do you know, just sort of that little sort of mental game was probably the biggest thing that I learnt. That not
100%.
letting someone gain momentum. So I remember I come back from the States and I just felt like a machine.
How much of it is mental? You know, what's that barrier? Talk to the people about that barrier, because no one has ever been there, like watching with Canelo Alvarez, right? So take that step forward to push him back. It's more than just taking a step forward, because there's a lot of demons that you got to get fixed in your head to take that step forward.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just sort of stood there. I wasn't moving back. I just sort of stood there and I was sort of reacting to whatever he threw. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what it was, but he wasn't coming forward. You know, then spars, he'd be going back. I actually don't know. But you can't do that to some people either, because I guess it depends on the style as well. Like, see, someone like Mundine, if you try to do that, because he's a real busy fighter, he's all in your face. Unless you're quicker than his jab, which most people aren't, you probably don't. Unless you keep strong, you're not going to really stay in front of him either. You know, so.
Yeah, and Canelo's a bit more counter, you know, so he would actually invite you to come in so he can hit you with a counter.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it won't work with everyone, but it was just I don't know. That's probably the number one thing that I've learned. Or, you know, Timmy Zoo. So, last year when I was supposed to fight on his undercard when he fought Jeff Horn, I was training with him, not with him at the same time, but the same camp. And I got to see, actually, this is probably the number one. Yeah, I got to see how hard he works, how hard he trains. But it's not like ridiculous, strenuous, stupid training. It's just how he pushes his cardio day in, day out, twice a day. The work he puts in is what I took into my fight. So you think you train hard, you think you train hard, but then seeing how he trains, you learn how much you can actually push the body.
It's crazy, man, because it's all his coaches have the book and the schedule that Costa had. So they absolutely changed nothing in that sense where it's a perfection-based training regime. No excuses. This is what you got to do because it's been proven. Your dad did it. Now you're doing it.
Exactly right. That's the thing. So they give me confidence in it again, like it's worked for Costa. And they tell you, they're the exact same team. Whatever Costa did, he does. It's nothing special. It's just hard work. And it's consistent hard work.
It's crazy, man, because I've seen George Cambosis train. So I've been in the room with him a couple of times. Same thing, man. Look, he did come from that gym as well. He started there.
Yep.
However,
Yep.
I looked at him like, bro, I couldn't do what he's doing. I tried to do it. I can't do it to his intensity, but it didn't look anything spectacular. None of this CrossFit random stuff where you're killing yourself.
Nah.
You do your sets, you're done. See you later. Next session, recover, rest, back again.
Yep. Yeah, there's a few set little workouts and routines. It doesn't change. And it's just that. It's that consistency. You just keep doing that. Then you want to get fitter, just do more of that.
It's crazy, man. I once saw Faraz Sahabi on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was basically saying the repetition is muscle memory, which makes world champions. Yeah. You get these tough guys that do 30 chin-ups in one day. You won't do chin-ups for another 2 weeks because you're too sore. Where the world champ will do 5 or 6 every day, and that'll stay with him and last with him longer.
I think, I think I know the video. That's the bloke. What's his name? Joe Rogan. He talks about that's the way they train. That's
GSP's head coach, Faraz Sahabi.
Yeah, I think I've seen that video. I've learned a lot from that video too. I agree with that. I do.
So it's crazy, man, because again, Faraz is the head coach of GSP, who's also undefeated. George St. Pierre's undefeated whilst he's been in his corner. And it's very simple, and sometimes we make the simple things hard and the hard things we try to get shortcuts with the simplicity. But bro, honestly, man, Floyd Mayweather once said, I can tell if someone's going to be a world champion in 1 minute. I used to think he's talking shit. Then in another interview, he's like, I look at the ABC, the fundamentals. If they're still doing what you're taught day one of boxing at that level, then he can be a Floyd Mayweather. I'm like, oh, it makes sense now. The basics are the hardest things to master.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So a lot of people go off that, and that's what Floyd's looking at. He's looking at that world champion. He's looking at Gervonta Davis as in his corner. He's like, hey, mate, you're doing all right, but you're down on the scorecards because get back to your roots. You know what I mean? Finish this fella.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, see, I used to train as a kid way too hard, push myself way too hard, but it's not. You just need to push yourself beyond your barrier just a little bit. Do it every day. Do you know what I mean? Or set goals and achieve goals, not just flog. Don't flog yourself without a purpose. There's got to be a purpose. There's got to be a goal. There's got to be a reason behind doing what you're doing.
100%, bro. You got to get to the fight. You got to save the fighting to fight day.
Yeah.
Because it's hard as to, you know how it is. The lights, the pressure. You got to perform. And if you're copying all these chins in sparring, the hard spars, and you're copying all these shots you shouldn't be copying. But I tell a lot of the youngsters when I see the Insta videos, I'm like, bro, you've just hit your brother with 30 shots to the head. You're about 4 years older than him. Like, if he wants any longevity in the sport, you got to relax on him and just show him show him the ropes.
Yeah. See, we only look because I live in Orange now. We only sparred once a week for that fight. We'd travel down to Sydney, but I'd be doing 8-round fight. I'd be sparring 10 rounds to 2 different people, But see, most people they spar like 3 times a week. I know Mundine only did 2 times a week, but me, I only did once a week, and I felt that works for me. I'll get overtraining easily. I'll burn out. Do you know what I mean? I'll get bored with training easily. So I think, having that one spar a week sort of made me fresh through the week and made me keen to want to spar. Do you know what I mean? I'm not just flogging the horse, getting punched in the face, getting brain damage 3 times a week. Number one, I want to come out of this sport with I don't want to be punchy. defense is my number one thing. The day I start talking, slurring my words or whatever, I've told my coach, I told mum, I'm out. Like, I don't care. I'm not getting punchy. So, the sparring 3 times a week and going to, no. And you know what? Like, it worked. If someone would have told me about a year ago, going to a fight only sparring once a week, I'd be like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? Like, but I felt fine going into that fight. I know it was over in the first round. You know what I mean? But this training was going well. And I believe in that, staying fresh, enjoying your training, not flogging the horse, and coming out with minimal damage.
100%, man. Look, even now, every fighter does what gets them to the ring differently. You know what I mean? You can't be copying someone else. Look at Max Holloway in the MMA world. Doesn't spar anymore because he felt like he was taking too much damage. And you look at his last 3 performances, amazing performances. So
I think Tyson Fury only spars 2 weeks. Does boxing 2 weeks. He does a lot of, I think it's CrossFit cardio stuff. Then he only does has spars for 2 or 3 weeks before a fight or something like that. Because he goes, I know how to box. I've been doing my entire life. I know how to fight. Fighting's what I do. As I want to be fit.
100%, bro. See, like that, it works for him. Who's to tell him otherwise?
I think that's what a lot of people see. That's what I didn't realise when I was younger too. You're seeing the Floyd Mayweather videos. You're seeing the way he does things, and you try and mimic that. No. Everyone's got something that works for them. You got to find out what that is. You do you, and what suits you. Everyone's different. I think that's another big lesson that I've learned too over this last little while. I couldn't agree with that anymore.
Yeah, no, 1,000%, bro. So the boxing, the evolution in the boxing and life, you've come leaps and bounds. And to be fair, man, it's a credit to you, your family, your support group. What else do you do? What are you interested in other sports? What are things that Sam RC does in his downtime?
Fishing.
Right.
I do every single day. Love it. Honestly, I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning and I went fishing. We drove an hour and a half to the dam and I went fishing just this morning with a mate.
So tell us what is it about fishing? Do you fish on the boat? Do you fish on the shore? And what are you doing?
I do own a boat. Not really a big fan of the dam fishing because it's harder. I don't really know it yet. I've got someone teaching me now though. I love fly fishing. I've been doing that the last few months. Love it. That's probably my favourite at the moment. Chasing trout on a fly rod. Nothing better. You just walk in a stream, exploring new creeks. You're out in nature. You're away from your phone. No service. Checking out the scenery. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is nothing better.
Have you went fishing with George? I know George is big on the fishing as well.
Nah, never. See, I've only been in it the last sort of few years, but yeah, never.
Yeah, you probably want to hook yourself up with George, man, because when it comes to fishing, I am the worst fisherman. I used to enjoy it. My dad took me to the entrance once, true story, and bro, he didn't leave until the next morning. I slept on the sand, bro. I'm like, come on, man, when are we going home?
Yeah,
I was a bit younger, and I'm like, they go, we're going to the entrance. I'm like, wow, the entrance. Yeah, let me come with you. I'm like, yeah, I wish I didn't come.
See, I was lucky. I got a mate that he's a full-blown expert. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know half the stuff that I knew. And I probably would have, I don't know, would I have gotten over it, not by catch? No, probably not, because the first time I went out, I didn't catch anything. I still loved it. But yeah, look, it helps a lot that I've got a mate that knows everything about it. So I just pick his brain all the time.
Yeah, the tricks of the trade. It helps when you have that. So talk to us about also the main event that happened last week, which you were a part of and did steal the show. I had Zarafa on the podcast 2 days ago. What happened there? Right. What's your opinion on that? And as a fighter, would you have went and fought without your team?
Look, I don't know how much he would have been making. He
300K.
would have made. I would quarantine for 6 months to make friends. I promise you. I will quarantine. I'd fight with just, you only need a trainer, a cut man. I'll take 2 people away. Literally.
You know, that's what Slip told me. Mohammed Zaidan gave me a call. Actually, I might have called him. I don't know how it went. He goes, I would go for free. He goes, there's many fights where he had, but he said it to amateurs, where he went with no corner, no team, no nothing.
100%. Oh, literally. I'd quarantine for 6 months if I could still go fishing, but of course. See, that's still that's self-isolating. 300K for 6 months of your life and the punch on. I'd do it for 100 easily. Do you know what I mean? Like
Stevie stepped in for 100.
I have no idea what happened.
Let me tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened. So basically, contractually, there was meant to be a hub and there was meant to be an exemption where Zarafa's team doesn't have to quarantine. A week out of the fight, Zarafa's team tells No Limit or whoever they had to tell, look, are they in place? Are the exemptions here? They said, no, they're not here, but you can come in. Nothing wrong. Come in and come out. We'll fly you out if you need. What happened was both teams went at it and egos were there and no one wanted to budge. One said, we're entitled. One said, well, you can come in. You don't need these exemptions. We're not going to give you. We're not going to make this hub. And then who got stuck in between? It was the fighters. So then Zarafa was in between two. Do I go, without a team, or do I back my team and stay with them and stick loyal to the people? And I say, look, I don't blame Zarafa and I don't blame Tim. At the end of the day, it was both teams. It was the politics of boxing, which gets involved a lot of times, more often than not. And that's just what happens, bro. Because even the first interview Tim Tszyu had after the fight, when the fight got cancelled, he's like, Zarafa doesn't pull out. He went and fought Kell Brooks in enemy territory. Then the day after, they, went to promoter, said you have to promote the fight. Tim flips the narrative. Again, nothing against Tim or Mike. It was more the politics of boxing. And, bro, for 300K, I'd do anything as well.
They wouldn't have to quarantine. Or they'd have 24 hours, 40 hours. It wasn't 2-week quarantine when they went back to Melbourne. That's what I heard.
No, so that was nothing official. So if there was an outbreak, which there wasn't, they would have had to. And that team couldn't afford it, they said, and they didn't want to budge. Bro, it was all ego at the end of the day. This is in the contract, give it to me. They go like, no, we don't need to give it to you because it's not here. Know what I mean? And back and forth. People with money, man. It's money at the end of the day.
Okay.
So then what happens? The fighters get robbed of opportunity because of others, and the fans don't get to watch it. But bro, 300K is a lot, man. I had Mike on. He goes, I worked for 3 years to get this fight. He goes, I put in my hard-earned money to go stalk him, make sure I was relevant. And he goes, why would I pull out? And Mike didn't pull out. He went to the gym to train. So after his team called, Mike was still training. He thought they were still going to get to the bottom of it. The other side, No Limit, was like, you know what? We're sick of this. Stevie Spark, come in to fight. So it was, Zarafa never officially pulled out.
I think, like I said, I'd quarantine for 6. I wouldn't give a shit, if that's, I'll take away 2 people.
Bro, I reckon in my whole life, I think I've made 30K.
There would be no question. There'd be no question about it. That's what I do.
Look, yeah, I'd take it for the money. However, it's a bit hard, bro, when your team's involved and it feels like you're dogging the team to go by yourself. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a weird one, bro. You know boxing more than me.
No, that would not be an issue with me at all. But each their own, but no.
Yeah, man. Look, everything works for everyone differently. I know everyone's got to live by their decision. Some people would do it, some people wouldn't. But geez, to she go a week out to do that, man. 3 years working for that, and it gets taken off you. Crazy world, bro.
Yeah. Well, what do you do?
What do you do, mate? Look, September. We're looking September 8, Sam RC, mate. What's the last message for the fans watching and the people seeing this podcast, getting to know you, and breaking the barriers?
Be present. Last message. I don't know. Just enjoy life.
100%, man. Well said. Honestly, the simple things in life, eh?
That's it. Simple things in life. Take it easy. Enjoy it.
Don't take it for granted. Watch his space. Sam RC stole the show. He's going to do it again. He's back. Tune in, guys. Support him. Follow him on all the socials. You know, he's a friend of the podcast whenever he wants. You know, I've got to give a plug to Precision Cutting. How did you get to know Hass and how did that relationship come?
Yeah, so I just got a random message on Instagram. It's funny though. It's funny. Look, firstly, coming up, always struggled to get sponsors. Look, boxing wasn't where it was back then, where it is now. You know what I mean? And I guess being on such a big show, obviously there's TV and stuff like that. That's obviously going to bring more potential sponsors in and stuff like that, obviously. But it's just funny. Never always had trouble finding sponsors, stuff like that. So to get a random message on Instagram, it's like, yeah, like it helps so much. Like, you know what I mean? So it's crazy to go from struggling to being asked if I want a sponsor. And that's how it happened.
Let me tell you something about Hass. He's the biggest Australian boxing fan there is. He goes through everything. There's not a fighter or a fight that he wouldn't go out to watch.
Yeah. Well, he said he's followed me Korean stuff.
No doubt.
City. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Have I met him? I'm not too sure if I've met him before or whatever. Or did he used to train as well? Or
look, I'm not too sure what he's done training. However, I know he's been at every show. And if there's ever a question about someone, he knows him inside out.
Yeah. See, I was surprised too. He's like, I've been following Korean stuff like that. I'm like, shit. Like, do you know? Yeah. Then he just offered that. I'm like, my man, of course.
Yeah, no, he's a legend.
Shout out Precision. You are a legend. Forever grateful.
No, look, mate. Look, you're deserving of it. You're on the platform. You're there. You know, it's not luck. You know what I mean? Destiny is destiny. You're doing your thing. Sam RC, my brother. Pleasure. The platform's always yours.
Yeah, you're a legend, brother.